I do. Hi, welcome to another video. Today we're going to make this bridal bouquet, and I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful, expensive bridal bouquet from $35 worth of Trader Joe's flowers. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Katherine Bergman, and I'm a florist with over 30 years experience in wedding and event designs. And I share all things flower with you every week. Are you ready? Let's get started. So when you hear bridal bouquet, you're intimidated right away, right? Thinking, oh, I can't do that. I have to pay an expert of $300, $400 to make a bridal bouquet. Well, today I'm going to show you how to make a bridal bouquet, not only at home, but with flowers from Trader Joe's. So I was at my local Trader Joe's, and I go there sometimes to see what's around, and it inspires me to do videos. I found a really nice mixed bouquet. You know those mixed bouquets that they have there? It's $12.99. It's called a seasonal bouquet. And I said, wow, these are very subtle, pretty colors, very in vogue for weddings. So I picked up a $12.99 mixed bouquet. We'll open this up to see what we got, as well as 2 bunches of roses. These white roses are what they classify as garden roses. So you get 8 stems for $10, $9.99. And then these peach roses were just regular roses, and these were 12 stems for $10.99. So we spent $20 on roses. So we've got 20 roses for $20 from Trader Joe's, a bunch of garden roses and a bunch of regular roses, and a mixed bouquet of different accent flowers, a few roses, and greenery for $12.99. So total, it's $33. So with tax, all that, around $35 worth of flowers, we're going to make a bridal bouquet that's worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I'm going to show you how. Now, before we start, we also need to have some supplies. You're going to need floral tape. This is the tape that you use to make boutonnieres and corsages. It's like a paper tape that has wax on it that's kind of stretchy. If you go to floral supply stores, they sell this thicker 1 inch, and this is what I like to use to tie off the bouquet. This is hard to find online. Online, you get the 1/2 inch, which is what we use to wrap the stems of boutonnieres and corsages for regular wire and taping. So if you can't find this, you can always use bind wire. In fact, I think most florists use bind wire. It's just a coated wire that you can use to quickly bind things. This is wonderful. You can buy it by the spool. I think they have this on Amazon. It's inexpensive, and a spool will last you forever. I actually love this for using in the garden as well, because it's a nice dark green that blends with the greenery. And so like for tying up, climbing, roses, climbing vines, all that. You're going to need pruners, some scissors that can cut ribbon, and some ribbon. What I have here is just inexpensive double-faced satin, which is basically an acetate polyester ribbon and kind of a pale blush color. This is called a number 9 ribbon, and it's probably about 1.5 inches wide. And I think this is a good width ribbon. You don't want to go thinner because it will be very hard to cover the stem of your bouquet. And thicker, it makes it hard to do a nice tight bind on the stem. And another thing you're going to need are short pins. These are little tiny pearl pins that are only about, I want to say maybe a little less than 1 inch. The pin part has a little pearl head, and that's what we use to secure the ribbon in place. They're shorter than the regular corsage pins. These are diamond-headed corsage pins that we use that's much longer. And then there's one in between. It's like a little pearl-headed pin for boutonnieres, which actually does not work very well for boutonnieres. But what you need are these little tiny pins for securing the ribbon. And I believe they do sell this on Amazon. So I will link everything I use here, everything I can, on Amazon in the description. Okay, so you can access all this. All right, now for the fun part. We're going to open up our bouquet and see what we got. Now I look at the front of it and I thought, oh, this is a pretty nice bouquet, because, sometimes you go, they've got giant sunflowers, red roses, like kind of red, yellow, blue, like high contrast. So generally when I buy these mixed bouquets, I try to look for things that are not too high contrast, so that's more sophisticated. And this is a really nice bunch. I picked it because of the colors, and also it looks like we can use most things in here. There's nothing really weird that I would be like, oh, I'll never use that. So let's see what we have. We have one stem of this kind of buff colored spray rose. We have 3 stems of shimmer rose. This is a rose called Shimmer. It's been very popular for weddings because it's that perfect antique-y, mauve-y, pinky peach that's been so popular. I'm just going to put the roses in the bucket with the roses. And then we've got 3 stems of variegated greenery. Pretty nice variegated greenery. Very upright. Looks like it'll last well out of water. So I think we can use that. And this is the main reason why I bought this bunch of mixed bouquet. These are butterfly ranunculus. This is a new type of ranunculus that's kind of wispy and beautiful. It lasts forever and it's great for wedding work. And I think it goes really nicely in a bridal bouquet. So I'm just cut all these shorter because we're going to be doing a hand-tied bouquet. You don't want your stems too long. Okay, here's the greenery. 4 stems of this variegated greenery. Cut everything a little shorter. I'm just going to put this aside here. And then we have some hypericum berries in white, which I thought would be nice in this bouquet. What I'm going to do is, I was inspired when I was just standing there at Trader Joe's to make sort of a garden style bouquet that has a hint of fall, kind of in a sophisticated palette. We're going to have a little hint of dark burgundy, chocolatey, dark burgundy with this kind of shell pink, which I thought would be really beautiful, but in a style that's not just a round, you know, clustered, all rose kind of bouquet. And the fashion lately has been to do more natural looking bouquets that have interesting textures and greenery, and not just the old style bouquets where we have everything just kind of like a dome of roses. We did lots and lots of those in the 2000 to 2010 or 2015. It was just all round roses, it seems like. Okay. Here's some really interesting greenery that I forget the name of, but it also has a hint of that burgundy. The stem is sort of burgundy red. I think this is really beautiful, kind of feathery and a little bit, I don't know, gives you a little bit of that boho look to this bouquet. So that we can use. 3 stems of burgundy protea, which is great. You would not think to use this in a bridal bouquet, but with the right combination of colors and materials, I think it could be very pretty and adds a little unexpected element to your bouquet. So that's not just, you know, all roses. And 2 stems of this beautiful antique pinky blush mums. I wish they had 3 stems in here, but there's only 2. They're not in the best shape, but I think we'll be fine if we use in a hand-tied bouquet. So we got quite a bit for our money, $12.99, not bad, because the nice thing about mixed bouquets, if you like the ingredients in there, is that to buy these individually will cost a lot more. You're going to have to buy, you know, a bunch of berries, a bunch of roses, etc., etc. So I just wanted to show you that, you know, the lowly mixed bouquet, sometimes if there's nice mix, you can definitely use it to create something very sophisticated and beautiful. All right. Now, don't be intimidated by hand-tied bouquets. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there who are showing you how to lay the stems in, you know, in a spiral, and you have to keep turning and all that. That's a beautiful technique, and I swear some of these people are just showing off. I've made thousands and thousands of bridal bouquets because I've done weddings for over 30 years. And so you don't have to be that sophisticated. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. And basically, you want to have a nice base for your bouquet. Now, for a long time, I would use things like stock or hydrangea as a base, and I still sometimes do, but it gives you a much more uniform and tighter clustered look. So today I'm going to use some greenery. Now, this did not come from Trader Joe's. This came from my backyard. So if you don't have a lot of greenery in your backyard, you can factor in, you know, $3 to $5 for some greenery, or just cut some from your neighbor's yard. I have some regular variegated potassium, as well as this beach ball potassium, which is a mini potassium. And I'm not sure if we're going to use it all because I don't want it to look too weedy, but I figure we needed a little more structure to our bouquet. I think what I'll do is I'll start with the variegated potassium, and what I'm going to do is remove some of the foliage on the bottom. because with a bouquet, you're just seeing the top. The reason to have a structure is that it helps you space your roses so that they're not just completely right next to each other. We're going to start with these large white roses. I almost didn't pick up the peach roses because I thought, well, the mixed bouquet with the white roses might be enough. But I thought, well, you know what? A little bit of this peachy blush would brighten this bouquet a little bit, and I think it would be gorgeous. Okay. So what I like to do is make a core, like the center of your bouquet. And keep in mind that this is sort of the middle of the bouquet. So you want this to be very beautiful, because this is like kind of what your bride's going to be seeing when she looks down on her bouquet, the very middle. I'm going to cut these stems a little shorter just because as I turn this, it'll hit the counter. So what I'm doing is making a core, like the center of the bouquet. And once you get the center, it becomes much easier. I'm going to lay a little bit of the greenery in. And very important, I think I've told you this before in past videos, when you're doing hand-tied bouquets, is to have your mise en place. For those of you who cook, you know what mise en place is. It's just basically dicing the carrots and, you know, smashing the garlic, cutting the onions, whatever. So make sure all your ingredients are prepped. Now, before the video, I prepped the roses, took most of the leaves off the roses, processed it. I bought these flowers yesterday, and then I did recut the stems of the mixed bouquet. So the mixed bouquet seems like everything's pretty clean, so we don't really need to clean that much, but clean everything so that they're ready to be used in your bouquet. You're not stopping to pull off leaves and things like that. And then we only have 2 of these mums, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. Kind of decide on what colors you want next to each other too. I think this burgundy, chocolatey burgundy is really nice next to that color, kind of sophisticated and interesting. So I'm going to put a protea in the center here. And then where's our other mum? Let's use this other mum here. I also want the mums kind of in the middle because mums can shatter. You want to put your hardier flowers and greenery around the edge of the bouquet because you can imagine the bride, when she's taking photos and things, will have to keep putting it down. So you don't want something that's very delicate at the edge of your bouquet. Put that there. Probably another protea right here. Now, because the protea is such a stark contrast with these pastel-y, peachy, creamy colors, you want to make sure you place it well because they're going to feature very prominently once you look at your bouquet. Okay, so I put my 3 protea in the middle here. Then we're just going to keep adding roses, and I think I might go ahead and add in a stem of the butterfly ranunculus. Now, this is another wonderful thing about Trader Joe. Now, a bunch of butterfly ranunculus at the San Francisco Flower Market is now pretty expensive. And I was able to find this just in a $12.99 mixed bouquet, so score. Okay, let's do some of our shimmer roses here. For that pop of, that little bit of that antique-y pink. Okay. See, I alternate and add things, but I'm usually just I'm composing in my hand, but really looking at the top of the bouquet, what looks good. So don't be fixated on having perfectly lined up, spiraling stems. That's wonderful for people who can do it, but it's not really necessary. And in fact, if you spiral the stems perfectly, what you're going to end up with is a lot of stems going out, and then we have to bind it, and that will tighten your bouquet. So don't be intimidated by all those fancy techniques you see, okay? I've seen demonstrations where people make a spiral bouquet, and it can stand on its own without a vase. That's very highly skilled. I have a lot of experience, but I've never bothered with doing things like that. I mean, that's wonderful if you have that talent and able to do that, but it's not necessary for good design. So I'm doing some of this pretty butterfly ranunculus to just kind of loosen up the bouquet a little bit. And then I'm going to see if we want to add some of these berries. I think that would be pretty. See, I'm adding one in the center here. Sometimes you think, oh, maybe I need a little texture in the middle. So I'm thinking of a bouquet that's kind of natural looking, kind of a sophisticated mix of colors. You know, we're not doing like the all whites and pink and whites all the time now. We have a lot of weddings that they want this some interesting texture. You know, I wonder if this variegated foliage is a little too upright, so I might leave that out for now. And we've got our greenery that we cut from our garden, right? So we can always use that. But I think we'll add another beautiful big white rose. Look at these. These roses would be very expensive if you bought it at the flower market or if you went to a flower shop. I mean, they mimic like the old-fashioned David Austin type roses, but I was able to get 8 stems for $9.99. That's what a deal. And you're not going to need like 25 stems of this, right? Okay. Okay, let's just keep turning and seeing what is missing. I feel like we should do a white rose in the very middle because sometimes, you know, you create your core and things move as you add things. So I'm going to go ahead and add a rose into the middle of here. Okay. Another stem of the hypericum berries. St. John's wort. Okay. Now let's see if this kind of feathery greenery fits with the aesthetic of this bouquet. I think so. We're almost done with our bouquet. I'm starting to kind of create the outer edge. Usually when I do bouquets, I cut everything a little shorter, but I wanted to kind of open the mixed bouquet with you to discover what we have. So I did not prep those as I would have normally. When I do these, I wish I were a man with huge man hands. Because I have very small hands. It makes these hand-tied bouquets very difficult. Now, when you are creating a hand-tied bouquet, you also want to be mindful that you are using materials that will hold up well out of water. You definitely don't want to use things that will wilt, you know, as soon as they're out of water. So even in your selection of greenery, make sure they look hardy and is the type that will hold up well out of water. Pittosporum, Floral, which is called, common name is lemon leaf, all hold up well out of water. So we've got kind of our bouquet almost mostly done. Sometimes you want to pull out some stuff in the middle because things tend to flatten out. So I will sometimes go in here and start pulling things up a little bit. And then I'm going to add some greenery on the bottom here. Just our Pittosporum. Add a rose down here. You don't want your bouquet to be too flat looking. You know, if I stop now, it looks kind of flat. So I kind of go around the perimeter and add more items, like a rose here or there, or a little bit of greenery. Add another peach rose here. Because you also want to think about this being held by someone. This is not going to be in a vase and stationary. It's going to be held and it moves around, you know, as the bride walks down the aisle or walks with it. I feel like this green piece of greenery is sticking up too much. Pull it down a little. There we go. Okay. Do we have any more flat areas? Add a little sprig of this. Another white rose here. And I think we're pretty much done. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and tie this off. Actually, I like to use tape, but you can definitely use wire to tie it off. This is called stem tape. It's wonderful. It's like a stretchy paper tape that is waxed, so it kind of sticks to itself. And depending on the design of your bouquet, often we have the ribbon wrapped all the way down to the bottom of the stem. But since this is more of a garden style bouquet with a lot of natural elements, not a kind of clustered all rose bouquet, I may just leave some natural stems showing. I had an assistant who told me that this reminds her of wrapping tennis rackets. She was a tennis player. Okay, so we've got our bouquet done. We're going to take a look at it, and we're going to cut the extra stems on the bottom off. You don't want a very long stem on the bottom, so I would say cut the extra off and make sure the stems look nice and neat and tidy. Okay, that's what, there you have it. We're just going to leave a little bit of natural stem on the bottom here. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and ribbon wrap the stem. You hold on to your ribbon. I start from the top, go down, the same way you would do the stem tape. This takes a little bit of practice because the ribbon could be slippery. You can always secure with a pin before you start winding it down if you're not used to doing this. And then I go all the way down, make sure you hide your tape, and then I go back up again. I like to double up on the tape so that you cover any green showing through, especially with light color ribbon. Sometimes you'll see green coming through the stems, so I just double up on the tape. So I start from the top, go all the way down, and then go back up and cover what you've covered already. Cut it off, and then what we do is we fold down the cut raw edge, we fold it in, and then we secure it with these little tiny pins. So we're all done. I think this is a beautiful, sophisticated bridal bouquet. You can make it a little smaller for a bridesmaid's bouquet, and it cost us less than $35 from roses and flowers we bought from Trader Joe's. Now, when I do these for weddings, I put it in a little bit of water, like a couple inches of water in a cylinder vase, and then we just put it in here, and we could do the bouquets ahead of time and put it in the fridge so that we're not trying to make all the bouquets the morning of the wedding. And if you are actually trying to do this for your own wedding, I would definitely suggest you make this a day ahead and put it in a refrigerator to keep it beautiful and fresh. In fact, you could just deliver the bouquet like this, and that's what we do. We buy dozens and dozens of these cylinder vases all the time. We deliver the bride and bridesmaids bouquets in the cylinder vase so that there's a thing to hold the bouquet before they get there, and it stays fresh before they can use it. And then they can reuse these on the wedding party table or wherever they want to put the bouquet afterwards. So this is how you do a bridal bouquet. Not that difficult, takes a little bit of practice, but something you can definitely do yourself. And a bouquet like this, if you went to a high-end florist, would cost you maybe $300, maybe more, kind of depending on what's in there. And we just did it for $35. All the florists out there are going to hate me. But I wanted to give you guys, the inside pro tips on how to make a bridal bouquet. Are you inspired or intimidated? You ready to go out and make a bouquet? I hope you found this video helpful. I just wanted to let you know that you can make a hand-tied bouquet yourself, and we just did it with only $35 worth of Trader Joe's flowers. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, for those of you who are new to the channel, please like and subscribe and click the little bell to be notified when I put out a new video. For my loyal viewers who encouraged me from the beginning, I love you guys. Send me a comment and let me know what you're doing this week. Oh, and I also open up the community section of my channel. So those of you who make beautiful arrangements or are inspired every week and want to share what you made, please post a photo of the bouquets you make. Hand-tied, arrangements, I don't care. I want to hear from you guys and see it. So until next time, go out and buy some beautiful flowers. You don't have to make a wedding bouquet. Just make something beautiful for yourself. Treat yourself. You deserve it. I will see you in my next video.